Welcome to the first episode of APDR Cooking. I'm Ronan, and this is Fenrir.
Hello.
Today, we are cooking Broke Boy steak and mashed potatoes.
With gravy.
This is a little queso.
It'll show up from time to time in episodes.
And of course, leave a like and subscribe. I have a knife and I have an onion. You know what this means. We're gonna be cooking. So first thing we're doing is we're gonna be peeling the onion. Like always, you gotta peel the onion just to make sure it gets good. So what we're making today is we're making just a simple and easy meal that you guys can make at home. Because we are broke bitches and we don't have much, so just something simple and easy to get you through your night. So come on over here. Well, what you always got to do is you got to cut the ends off of the onion. Like to make it as thin as possible so we have more surface room for the onion. And of course, just got to peel that extra layer of skin that's there. I like to make sure that I cut off the ends and then do this, just so that I can be able to get the whole onion that I want. As always, it's normally a process, but I got it. So, let me just scrape all that. Then I'm gonna come here, cut the onion in half. Well, it's a little bit more than half, but that's okay. I can use it for later. I'm gonna put it in a baggie. Get that extra skin out. This baggie would cooperate. Thank you, sir. Now, I'm gonna just close the baggie. You're all set. The next thing that we're gonna do is we are going to dice our onions. And I wanna show you guys just a quick and easy trick to help you dice your onions easier. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna kind of like do that, but you're not gonna go all the way through. You're just gonna slice it. You're gonna cut slices into the onion. Just stab my thumb. You don't wanna do that, because bleeding is not okay. And if you ever have an injury, just make sure you cover it up before you start preparing more food. And then as you go in, it'll start to dice. And of course, there's not gonna be perfect pieces when you come in, so just come in whenever you have these bigger pieces, just come in, just dice them up. And then next thing you're gonna wanna do is come over here. You wanna get a decent sized pan. So I'm actually going to use our walled pan here, okay? Just gonna heat up the pan real quick before I throw in a 1/4 stick of butter. So I'm just gonna throw the butter that's in here into this pan, then I'm gonna throw in onions to saute them. So I'm gonna have this heat up just a little bit, and then I'll throw in the onions.
Now, we'll get started on the meat. But first, if you do not have gloves like me, come over. We will wash our hands real quick. Just so you know, anything that's on your hands, you can get clean. Just wash real quick. Make sure you get in between, under the nails and whatnot. You want to make sure your hands are clean before you touch anything, any kind of food, any kind of seasoning, just to be safe. I'm gonna throw this out. All right, now let's get started on the meat. So we're gonna cut it open. Look at that. Perfectly defrosted, not too warm, not too cold. So, gonna set, take that out. Okay. And we're gonna set that aside. For this, I'm not left-handed. If you are left-handed, hell yeah. We're gonna put a little bit of this, mainly like maybe a teaspoon or two. Then we're gonna do this. Same for this, a teaspoon or two.
What is it?
That was onion and garlic. We're gonna put about this much of black pepper. Gonna put that on there. And then for this, put about this much for salt. You wanna make sure you're good. And it's okay if it's a little handsy. It's fine if you don't have the equipment. So we're just gonna mix that up. Make sure it's all seasoned, all together, like this. And then it's all seasoned and whatnot. Then make sure the meat is in the bowl. And then wash your hands. Seasonings you see over here were used. Now we're gonna move over here to the stove where we will be cooking. Now over here, we have potatoes on low heat, cooking in some oil right now. You will see those later as we will be mashing them. Now we will be focusing on the butter in the pan and the onions over here with the meat. Now we're gonna put the butter in the pan.
All right. Well, we want to evenly disperse the butter at first so that it gets nice and melted, just so it can kind of like coat and layer the pan. It's just going to add more flavor and actually kind of like grease up your pan, so that when you saute your onions, you don't have to directly use oil for it. You can just come in and saute the onions through butter. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm coming over here and I am grabbing our onions. I am throwing our onions in so that they can begin to caramelize. I always like to caramelize my onions before I do my meat, because once I do, what we're also gonna do is we're creating a gravy out of the greases and the roux from the beef. So I'm gonna go put these inside of our sink.
We'll clean those later. Make sure you always clean your utensils, just in case you're gonna use them again.
And then I'm just moving onions around. I know you guys can't smell them right now, but the onions have a beautiful golden smell, which I absolutely love.
You want to make sure they're perfect golden as you cook them too. Mm-hmm. You want the perfect caramelization with the onions. You don't want them too dark, but you don't want them too light.
And if you were cooking with oil, it would just splatter, get all everywhere, and it'd make a bigger hassle for the cleanup afterwards. So if you come over here, I want to show you the kind of like the caramelization. So they're turning kind of like a golden almost, but you want them to be kind of like a golden brown. That would be the perfect texture for your onions. And then once they're like that, then we'll throw our meat in. Just beautiful, golden. Just look at that. Just nice and saucy. Just how I like everything. Fenrir is gonna come over here. He's gonna load the beef into the onions because they're perfect right where they're at. He's gonna throw
Let me get this.
beef right into the caramelized onions.
And
So
Ronan will be cutting up the beef inside of the pan
Yep,
so it can get coated.
Everything just comes together. You want to kind of break up your meat inside the pan so that it gets evenly dispersed, and also your onions and butter are just going to come in here and coat the pan. This grease right here from the beef, we're actually going to be making a gravy out of, and I'll show you guys how to do that later.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
Man, I'm thirsty. Good thing I have this underclosed energy drink right here. Man, this tastes like shit. What the fuck was that for? What is this? What's that?
That's the energy.
Oh, I know them. We're sponsored by them individually. Use code all capital letters FENR number 1R.
And also use code BIGMACK, all capitals, at checkout.
And use code SPARTEN567 for 10% off of any order at w.gg.
All right, so come over here. I just want to show you the meat is nice and brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a solid spoon. I have one that's over here. And I'm just going to drain the meat. I'm going to take one of my containers. We just have a little mixing bowl. But I'm going to drain the meat right now. Okay? Just take it, put it into there. Hey Fenrir, would you be able to get the flour out, my good sir?
Yes I can.
It is up in that cabinet right there.
All purpose flour is now out for the grill. We got a spoon too.
Yes, please.
I've gotten the spoon and the flour out. We're gonna prep the pan. This is what you will need next, all-purpose flour for the next step.
And would you also be able to get out the whole milk?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, good sir.
You also need the milk.
You also, I use whole milk
You
because
can use half. It doesn't matter what you use, as long as it's just milk. Milk is okay.
Yep.
Everyone has their preference. Everyone can drink what they can.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn it to low heat. Okay. So come over here and follow me. I'm going to take a spoonful, 2 spoonfuls of flour. Then I'm going to take my spatula. I'm going to mix it all in. I'm creating what's called a roux. It is the base of a gravy, and we're kind of like making kind of like a country style gravy. It's more like brown gravy, but that's okay. I'm going to need to put more in just to help thicken it. So in total, you're going to need to put about 4 or 5 teaspoons of flour into your roux. I know this is a little bit over, so a little bit more. And then that should be thick enough for the roux that we're going to be making. You kind of want it to be sticky and sludgy almost. And then it's going to thin out more when you're coming in here with your milk. It's not going to be super thick, but it's just going to be ooh, oh yeah. Because it captures all of the flavors from the beef and everything. Thank you, Fenrir. So I'm just going to step over here. I'm eyeballing it, but you necessarily want to do a cup to a half a cup of milk. And then you just want to slowly just simmer it all in till you get a thick enough gravy. Your gravy's, it's gonna thicken up really quick. So this is the first part of your gravy. I know it looks kind of sludgy and gross, but that's okay. That's why you add more milk. That's why I said you're gonna need like a cup and a half of milk. And if it gets too thick, you can always add a little bit more flour to help thicken it, or to thin it, you always use milk. It's always a perfect 1-to-1 ratio whenever you're making a gravy. So for this, it's kind of clumpy and stuff, but if I work through it a little bit more, it's gonna be a nice consistency. I mean, right now, it's still kind of clumpy, but like I said, you just gotta work through it. I want a nice and creamy gravy here, and it's starting to get to that consistency here. But we just keep mixing. Add a little bit more cream into it, cream or milk. I'm sorry. Gotta keep it professional. Gotta keep it steady. See, you don't want it to be super thick like this. You want it to be nice and creamy, just so that everything comes out really, really good. And later, we're gonna be adding some more salt and pepper into it, just so it's not super bland. But as I'm coming through, it's creating a nice roux, or not a roux. It's starting to become a really nice gravy, which is good. But that's okay. We want our gravy to be good. Set that back down. Add just a little bit more milk. That's not a little bit much. Okay. And then you come in. You make it nice, thin, because you don't want it super thick. It's gonna be nice and creamy. And if you really want to, you can add cheese into it, make it a cheesy gravy, or you can just leave it as is. Well, if you add cheese to it, it's gonna be nice and cheesy. Just like the jokes at Grandpa's house. But anyway, so our gravy has gotten to the perfect consistency that I want. It's nice, it's yes, it may seem a little thin, but no, it's a perfect consistency for what we're about to do next.
Now we're gonna move on to the potatoes here. As you can tell, they've been in here for a little while. I had gotten it wrong earlier. It is not oil in there. I was informed that it's actually water. That is just the excess dirt. That is my bad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this bowl over here. We're gonna take out the potatoes. Make sure they're good and drained. Because like I said earlier, this will be mashed. So this will be perfect. They're nice and soft. As you can tell, it broke. That's how you know they're perfect. The best potatoes are always these soft potatoes. You always, when you're making any potatoes, baked potatoes, boiled potatoes, you want to put your fork inside of it to check if it's soft. If it goes in like that, then it's done. Now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna put this over here, take this, and we're gonna bring it over here and drain out the water. All right, the water is drained, and we're gonna put the potatoes back inside of the pot. And what we're gonna do with this is we're just gonna mash it with the skin on. You can take the skin off if you want. You don't have to keep the skin on. We're gonna put this in the sink. You don't have to keep that on. I'm going to use a fork because actually I'm gonna use a bigger spoon because that could make it quickly done. So yeah, see? Perfect. Just wanna break the skin, mash it, get it done up. Gonna cut these in half. Make it go by a little quicker.
And then I am just gonna come in here, add just a little bit of milk so that it will help kind of like bond together everything.
Just the perfect amount, because like we said, this is going to be mashed. So I'm gonna grab the fork that I used to take out the potatoes. Oops. I'm gonna take them off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mash them like this. If you have a masher that works very well, always works well to have the equipment, but we are broke, so you know, gotta start somewhere. All right. So we're just gonna do that. Make sure it's all mashed.
I mean, even at the end of the day, you can even use your fist, but it would hurt if you put your fist in some hot potatoes. That's probably why they named the game Hot Potato.
So we're just doing that.
Yeah, and make sure you mix around those liquids so that it binds well and makes the potatoes extra.
To help with the mixing, I will bring this back. And you can tell that it's becoming a little bit better, a little bit creamier than it was earlier. So I think we may need a little more milk just to help it, the consistency.
Just grabbing the milk and put it in the fridge. I'm just gonna put
Put a little more milk because we want it to be creamy. We want it to be perfect.
You want it to be nice, thick, and creamy.
Yes. And soon we will add salt and pepper to it to add flavor to the mashed potatoes. Look at that. Now that is the perfect mashed potato blend right there. Now we're gonna come over here. Gonna put this down over here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the salt and pepper. And we're gonna just put a little bit inside. Not too much, the perfect amount. It's perfect. And then we're gonna put a handful of salt. So about this much, and then put it on. You always want to test your food, see if it's perfect, see if you put the right amount of seasoning in it. So we're gonna grab a spoon, and we're going to test the potatoes. Go ahead.
Honestly, use a little bit more salt.
So we're gonna add a little more salt because you want it to be perfect. We're gonna add another handful. That might be too much.
No, that's perfect right there.
Get that in there.
You also have to remember, you're gonna have to scrape everything.
Yes. So you get that in there. All mixed up. You can tell that the mashed potatoes became more consistent of mashed potatoes. So we're gonna. Okay. There we go. So we're gonna mix together. We're gonna get it in the middle. I'm going to grab a spoon and I'm going to take a little bit right here off the corner.
Just quality control.
Yep. And then we're gonna try it. Now that's how you make mashed potatoes. It's not too salty, not too peppery, just the right amount of salt and the right amount of pepper and the right amount of milk. And you can make yourself some really good mashed potatoes. All right, before we plate up, before we do the plating, we are going to add some salt and pepper, not too much, not too little. We have Ronan here, he will taste the gravy with the seasoning. So come over here, we're going to put about this much black pepper. Maybe that much. We're gonna put that in, make sure it's all in there. Then we're gonna grab some salt. Oh,
That's perfect.
yes. Now we're going to mix it in with this spoon right here.
Oh yeah, mix it in with the spoon.
So we're gonna mix it in. Look at that. Look at the gravy, the consistency, it's perfect. It's what gravy should look like. And we have it a little chunky, but that's okay.
The chunky better.
Yes.
Because you know what they say, thick thighs save lives.
we are going to let Roman taste test it right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take a spoon, just lightly off the top, just. That's some good gravy. All right, now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna plate everything. Okay, so you just want to take a spoonful of mashed potatoes, put it on the plate. Spoonful of mashed potatoes, right onto the plate. Just get a little bit more, you know.
So that they're evenly portioned out. You want to make sure they're evenly portioned out between the two.
And then-
Like we said earlier, it all depends on serving sizes, how much people you're serving to. So now he's gonna put the meat on the plate.
Yeah, I'm just kind of tossing it around a little bit, just kind of like break it up a little bit more. But then I'm gonna come over here, put it right on top. Oh, look at that. And then do the same over here, just right on top. And finally, just wanna stir it around one last time. Make sure everything is nice and good.
Yes.
And put that right on top of the meat. And that right there, folks, is homemade Broke Boy steak and potatoes.
And now, time for the taste test. Gonna get a little bit of the gravy, the meat and potatoes together.
Just all on serving.
Yeah, that's really good. It's perfectly cooked to the point that it's not too mushy for the meat, not too hard to chew. The gravy that we made is perfect. It tastes good, and so does the mashed potatoes. There's even amount of seasoning on everything here. They all taste really good. The onions add the perfect flavor to it all. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Broke Boy steak and potatoes.